Alrighty, good afternoon, everybody. It's been a very productive day today, a busy day and a busy afternoon, but it's not just for the people that I've been talking to, but for my own mental health as well. So it's been an insight, and I am grateful for everybody that I've spoken to this afternoon. Obviously, these are pre-recorded sessions getting ready for Movember, because obviously, as most people know, I'm a Mobro, been a Mobro for the last 17. Well, this will be the 17th year. Was inducted into the Movember Hall of Fame 2 years ago,
Wow.
which was a massive shock for me, a massive surprise. And when I got the email, I'm thinking, this is bullshit. What's going on here? So I got a hold of my contacts in November and said, what's going on? I said, no, it's legit. It's legit. So I should actually, I should have got it. Anyway, that's okay. I've got like a record, which is basically saying you're in it for life. So, but that's enough
Wow.
of me chatting. Jamieson, welcome to the channel, man. So I appreciate you taking the time this afternoon to have a chat. Um, Jam is a fellow runner up here in Cairns. So we have got mutual friends here in Cairns who are runners. So Jamieson reached out to me last week, I think it was,
Something
and
like that, yeah.
yeah, just wanted to have a chat about men's health, and obviously with Movember coming up, it's important to get some. Oh, that light's a bit bright. To get some understanding of men's health from his point of view. Now, Jamieson is the same age as my eldest son, so it'll be good to get an understanding of what men's health means to him. So, Jamieson, thanks, buddy. Appreciate you taking the time this afternoon to have a chat about Movember. So I really appreciate your time today.
Thanks for
So,
having me.
no, you're right, man. It's all good. So, like all the other conversations, this is a safe place to be in. There's no if there's a conversation or a topic you don't want to discuss, that's fine. We can talk about running for a bit, and then see how you go. But obviously, you've seen me, and we've actually been friends on Facebook for a while, but this is the first time I've actually reached out and have a chat with each other. So it's good to get a bit of insight about yourself and about your own personal experiences when it comes to mental health, especially someone like a 22-year-old. Like, I'm 51, so like I said, same age as my eldest, and
Mm.
I've had a conversation with him, and it would be good to get an understanding of how mental health has impacted yourself. Now, obviously, we don't need to go into details unless you want to, but from a perspective of a 22-year-old, what's
Mm.
the experience that you've had when it comes to mental health? Because within your age group and within your community.
Well, for me personally, growing up, I never really experienced any poor mental health on my end. Like I'm very positive. Like my parents are very supportive and positive, and very into the self-love, I guess, space. So I've been growing up while living at home. I was very mentally healthy, I felt like.
Yeah,
And then, of course, got to leave the nest. So I moved to the Gold Coast for about 3 years, and that was when life started to happen and things started to go awry. So I remember my first 6 months there. It was some of the hardest, probably one of the hardest times of my life. My
yeah.
first 6 months out of home, just because I was in a new city,
Mm.
didn't know anyone, and it's an expensive. Gold Coast is not a cheap place to live, and a culmination of everything just beating down on me, and
Yeah,
I found it very difficult. I think the main reason I found it difficult was because I didn't know anyone or have a good support system.
yeah,
So I think that to me is what I've experienced with mental health. It's going down. for me, it also goes in waves.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that's it.
After about 6 months, I found a men's group
Yeah,
called Brotherhood. It was a men. I think we were the first men's only gym in Australia or in the Southern Hemisphere, something like that.
yeah, right.
And it was just a group of men. I think there were about 100, 150 of us. We'd work out. We'd have conversations. We'd go deep. We'd do breath
Mm.
work. And the connections I built and the trust I built with those men was just different. It was just it was what I was searching for. So I was very felt very mentally great and amazing.
Yep.
And then I moved up to Cairns about 12 months ago, back up north.
Mm.
And I would say, so what's it? Yeah, it's been just over 12 months now that I've been back in Cairns.
Yeah.
And I would say my mental health has been actually quite low.
Yeah. Right.
If I'm being completely transparent, it's been quite low. And I think that's because I had such a strong community of
Yeah.
men, of strong, trustworthy men that I felt safe with and
Mm-mm.
felt myself with. And then moving up here, Cairns is a very different place to the
Yeah.
Gold Coast. It's Cairns is, in my opinion, not as I guess progressive might be the right word
Yeah.
as the Gold Coast.
Mm.
So I
Yeah.
found it quite difficult to find that community.
Yeah. And you've touched on a few good and interesting points, and just before we go any further, obviously the conversations we're having today, we're in a safe place, but this is coming from our own opinions. We're not professionals in the field. This is
Yeah,
just trying to give some insight into mental health for different people from different walks of life, different age groups, and trying to get an understanding of how it has impacted them. So when you left Cairns and went down to the Gold Coast, how old were you then?
18.
Yeah. So that's going from one extreme to the other,
Oh
basically.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely one extreme to the other. And yeah, man, fuck, it would have been difficult trying to find a place in society on the Gold Coast, for example, when you just can take one look at the Gold Coast and go, right, this it's either going to make or break you,
Yeah.
or trying to find a community or an outlet for you to really come to grips with and have a good support network, especially when you've got no family down there as well. It can be difficult. Now, when my son left to go down to Brisbane, he was 19, 20, something like that, 19, I think, maybe 20, can't remember. Um, he went down by himself, but I've got family down there. So there is that
Mm.
support for him there. And obviously that never happened with you. But then, yeah, man, that would have been tough. It wouldn't have been an easy spot. But then when we're talking about the support that's there on the Gold Coast, as opposed to the support here in Cairns, again, it's one extreme to the other. I would think down on the Gold Coast there'll be support networks there. Trying to find the right support networks there will be difficult. And when you found that, like you said, with that men's gym, that apart from obviously working out and stuff like that, did you communicate or get together outside of the gym? Were there like you go for a beer, go for a lunch, or catch up for a feed, anything like that?
Yeah, yeah, I found that was, yeah, we caught up a lot outside of the gym. And I think that was what was the most powerful part. Because in
Yeah,
my experience, I've realized that most gyms are the same. That you do a workout, you go home,
yeah,
whatever. But what really makes a good gym slash community is the core community aspect. So we would do barbecues, do just get together for drinks.
yeah,
Some of the guys might come see me at work because I used to work at a brewery. They might come see me at work, get a couple of beers,
yeah,
and and sometimes we would just hang out for breakfast over a
yeah, yeah,
coffee
yeah, yeah,
and just chat. And it
yeah,
was we also we did some I guess you can call them wellness retreats. Did some of them as well. That were pretty, I don't really know the word,
Inter-
impactful, let's
yeah,
say. Uh,
interesting.
Interesting to say the least.
Yeah, yeah,
We may dive deeper into that later, but
yeah.
yeah, that was, we just did so many extracurricular things. The exercise was just one aspect of it, and I found it was an important aspect because that was the suffering that we would all suffer together in the workout, and then we'd connect afterwards because
Yeah.
we went through the pain of the workout, and then we'd connect, and that's what I found. Uh, yeah, that's what I found.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of when you're looking at, I've never been to a men's retreat, but then when I've definitely seen a lot of them advertised. For me, they're more surrounded probably or targeted maybe at someone who's a little bit older than you.
Yes. Yeah,
So probably someone in their 30s, for example. So I would assume that you probably would have been the youngest there.
I was. Yeah.
Yeah, and that would have been. I can kind of gather the things that may have happened with just the bonding and stuff like that. Nothing untoward or anything like that, but it would have been something different of an experience for yourself, I would think.
Yeah, I was also in that phase of my life where I was just trying everything, new
Yeah,
things. I wanted
yeah,
to figure out what I wanted, who I wanted to be,
mm,
all that kind of jazz. And
yeah,
I met some interesting blokes, and then
yeah,
like, we did that, and yeah, yeah, and it was a unique experience. And at the end of the day, my intention was not to solve the secrets of the universe, but
mm,
the
mm,
intention was to just, I guess, be uncomfortable and figure out more within myself,
yeah.
and,
That's it.
and also connect with other men on a really deep
Mm,
level that a lot of them didn't even connect with their family with.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it's and you've touched on a few things that can make a difference in somebody's life. Family to start with, from what you've said, you've got a good connection with your family,
Mm-hmm.
which is great, and you need that. I've got that good connection with my both my boys. They're 21 and 22, so like I said, they're your age, and understanding, it's a part of growing up. When I was when I was 22, I had been I was living in Sydney. I was I had been in the army for 5 years by the time I was 22. So 4 to 5 years. I'd been in the army for that long by the time I was your age. So
Wow.
yeah, and you can kind of, this was what, 90, early 90s, 94, give or take. So it's a lot. Obviously, a lot has changed between then and now, but having that support behind you, like I didn't have, like I've got family obviously, but there was at that time, and I nothing against my family or anything like that. It's having that outlet or having that support at that time that you may need. Like there was
Mm.
no men's health support that I could tap into at that time. Well, there may have been, but I didn't know where to start, and it's not like it is now when mental health for men is at their forefront, and especially for mental health for someone who's 22. You're still going through a phase of your life trying to understand what you want to do. You
Yeah.
know, back when I was growing up, or when my parents were growing up, mate, you had a job for life. That was basically it. I know still plenty of people who have had that one job for their whole entire life. You're going to go through phases where you're going to go through 20 jobs before you can really settle on what you want to do in your life. And I think that comes down to um, your physical and emotional and mental health side of things as well. You're trying to find an avenue to best help with your own mental health. And just the conversation we've had in the last 15, 20 minutes, mate, you're, I feel like you got your head screwed on. You know what you want. You're looking at what you want to do to help improve your own mental health, but to help others as well. And mate, you should be commended for that. There's not a lot of guys your age that will do that. So, take some stock in that. What you're doing is something that's gonna help improve the next generation of youth growing up.
Mhm.
My I'm very open and honest with my boys. They know they can take one look at dad and go, okay, dad's got pink hair and a pink moustache. Um, Great, they they do not care in the slightest.
Yeah,
They know what I'm doing is helping people make more awareness for mental health with Movember, not just about men's health as well, but for women's health as well. It's not just about the boys; it's about the support that we get from our women in our lives as well,
of course.
whether they be mums, sisters, teachers, grandparents. I think if there's that good sense of community support, family support in um, within people's environment, then it's a positive step forward. So, but in saying that, it's not always easy for people. Not always easy. Why? So why did you end up coming back to Cairns? It just wasn't working on the Gold Coast.
No, Gold Coast was good, but my girlfriend, she had just graduated uni, so she just finished, and as a new grad, as a dietitian, it's quite hard to find a job.
Yeah,
And Cairns was the first place to offer her a job. And I was like, oh, I know Cairns. So
go
I
back
was
home.
like, yeah, I was like, sweet, let's go up. And in my head, I was like, cool. It's been a few years
Yeah,
because I grew up in Yungaburra, so
yeah,
not
yeah,
actually in Cairns. But I grew up in the Tablelands, so
yeah,
I hated Cairns growing up
yeah.
because I had to go down the range and always be sick.
Mm,
I was like, okay, but I've never lived in Cairns, so it'll still be
yeah.
different. And so that was essentially why we moved up.
Yeah, and for those that don't know Younger Borough is probably about an hour, depending on which road you take
Mm,
up the range. So just northwest of here. Beautiful spot. Younger Borough is amazing spot.
amazing.
It's beautiful. It's just a small village type.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
about what 1,500 people.
Yeah, it's obviously expanding.
Yes,
It's gonna in the next 20 years, it's gonna expand it a lot, I would think.
people
But
are going to catch on.
yeah, that's it. So if you want to buy a place there, do it now.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful spot. It's been a while since I've been up there, but it's yeah, it's a magical place to be.
but it's
Um,
no place for an 18-year-old. At least it wasn't for me.
no,
Because I,
and well, that's it. Unless you're looking at doing something out
a
on the
trade.
fields or trade, something like that,
Yeah.
yeah, then definitely it's not for everybody. Definitely, it would have been a massive difference going from Yungaburra to the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Big
that's
difference.
one extreme to the other, massively one extreme to the other. And in some aspects, I think it can either make or break you, really. Um, but I think as long as you have that support there from your family, then you know it's it can be manageable. But obviously, life changes, circumstances change.
Yeah.
So when you've come back up to Cairns, you feel like there's not much of a support around men's health as opposed to the Gold
I
Coast.
well, the reason why I think the Gold Coast has more support is because from what I from the people I've spoken to, no one there is a local. In the Gold
Yeah,
Coast, everyone's from somewhere else. New
yeah,
Zealand, Melbourne, Brazil. They're from somewhere else, and everyone's looking for a community. But what I found in Cairns is a lot of people are locals, and
yeah,
so it's they've already got friends. they've already got network support, things like that. And so that's why I was like, okay, well, even though I'm kind of a local, I know people. I've got friends. I work at Believe, like I've got a gym, but I find that's a lot of surface level stuff, and I'm not really a surface level guy.
Yeah.
Now that I've had a lot of practice, the last 3 4 years of my life, it's just been going deep. I zone out when it's surface level because it's fine. But if I really want to know someone, then we go deep, and that's hard. And from the conversations I've had here in Cairns, it's less common
Yeah.
to find people who are open or comfortable going deeper.
Yeah, it can be. And, when you take one look at me, I stand out from the crowd, obviously. Um,
Yes, that's why I
yeah.
messaged you. I was like,
Yeah.
who would be the one person who would be open to a chat? I was like,
Yeah.
Ben Anderson.
That's it. That's it. And so I used to work at Cairns Central for like 10 years, our major telecommunications retailer. So you can kind of take one guess who that is.
Yep.
And I was there for over 10 years. And when I was transforming myself, so to speak, people would see me all the time. So my co-workers, my regular customers would see me and they would know me. And even people who I haven't interacted with or only on a once-off basis, not my regular customers, they wouldn't remember my name. They'll go, oh yeah, the one with the pink hair, the pink moustache.
Mm.
And then I've had interactions with customers who I remember, Indigenous woman who came up to me. She had suffered from breast cancer and she just wanted to basically say thanks. I had a pink jumper on at the time, and we got a photo together, and she just wanted to just basically say thank you, and it was having that conversation with her, even though it was just a minute or two conversation, was just having that conversation with her because obviously it's just not about men's health, it's about women's health. They're all
Of
combined into
course.
one, and then when we're talking about Movember, breast cancer awareness, lifeblood, um, brain cancer, um, you know, anything that's going to affect somebody, it's all in the same. It's all part and parcel of the same thing. We're there to support each other, raise awareness for what could be happening for that person, for example. Um, for me, on a deeper level, when it comes to breast cancer awareness, I've had people in my life been impacted by breast cancer. Fortunately, they're still with us, but
Yeah.
it's for me, doing what I do gives thanks back to the most sisters that have supported me over the years. And mate, there's been fucking thousands of them. Um, and I've loved every single one of them. But it's me giving support back. I
Mm.
don't I don't care how I look. Well, I do because I want to look good. But when it comes to seeing people in the street, I get looks all the time. It's the way it is. I don't care about that. But it's making people stop. They could see me bloody 50 meters down the road. I'm thinking, and they're looking at me, they're looking at me, they're looking at me, looking at me. They don't say anything, they just keep walking. On my hoodie, it says the Pink Mobro. I'm not sure if you've seen that or not. It says the Pink Mobro. I get
I
people
don't know.
say, "Oh, the Pink Mobro," and then I'll turn and say, "Yeah, hey, what's going on?" And then having a chat. Have a look at the front of my car. There's a massive pink moustache on the front of my car. So it's making that statement, and it's some people might think it's overboard, but sometimes you just got to take that little bit more of a step just to make an impact, make that statement with the people that you're interacting with. When I go down to Brisbane, for example, the the Brisbane Marathon Festival early this year, I was down there
Yeah.
for a run in the half, warm up, get there, go for a walk down the street, stuff like that. Going past runners, they see me, they smile. I get people in the starting shoot, having a chat, is this real? What's going on with the mo? Blah, blah, blah. Or get a lot of people going, love the look, It's just having that impacts, making that statement to people to get their attention.
Yes. And even they may not talk to you, but they might go home that night and be like, "Oh, I saw a man with a pink mustache," and then they're talking about it with their spouse or their parent or daughter or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I've shared this conversation with many people, and the one that for me that stands out the most is when I was at Cairns Central waiting for a friend of mine to finish work, and I could see a mother and daughter coming up towards me. Daughter's 8, 9, I think, and she wanted to talk to me. I said, "Yeah, absolutely. What's happening?" And she obviously just wanted to talk about the pink. She's seen a man with pink hair, pink moustache, and forever when I was growing up anyway, it was like, blue for boy, pink for girls.
Yep.
That's it. That's it. And then you see that obviously times have changed over the years, and then you're looking at people making an impact and trying to make a statement for what they believe in. She just had seen me and wanted to talk. Really, she's seen a man with pink hair and pink moustache going, you know, she thought I looked great, absolutely fabulous. And I said, "Yeah, I know, I do." And then and then it was having that conversation with her, obviously making her understand about Movember. Do you know what Movember is? No. Okay, let's have a quick chat about that. And then talking about breast cancer and wording it so she could understand.
Yes.
Because obviously we can't have a deep conversation with somebody who's 8 years old because she wouldn't understand. It's more of an impact statement that resonates with her, and that's the conversation that we had. So you know, this was probably towards the end of May because the Breast Cancer Foundation had to go pink for June month, where you color your hair, shave your head, wear pink for the month, whatever the case is.
Yep.
So I said, "Hey, have you thought about doing this at school?" Her eyes lit up. Said to Mum, "Can we? Can we? Can we?" And it's like, "Oh, I'm not sure." I said, "Well, you know what? Just talk to your teacher. Just have a conversation with your teacher about it. They won't
Yep.
mind. I'm sure they won't mind." It's having that conversation, but the conversation more for her was that impact. It was seeing somebody who, a 51-year-old man wearing pink, and and for me, this is the pink's been probably a permanent feature for 3 to 4 years, give or take, maybe 3 years.
Mm.
It's gone through incarnations to get where it is now, and it's staying like this, mate. I'll be old and pink. I won't be old and grey. I'll be old and pink. Mate, I've got pink shoes. I've got pink pair of Doc Martens. I've got a pink suit. My case is pink.
You're
My
committing
watch
to it.
my watch strap is pink.
Wow.
So it's just putting yourself out there, and that's what it is. And I think people are afraid of doing that,
Yes.
making that statement, and it's making a statement for people to understand not just about men's health but women's health as well. We've got support there to give back to those that have supported us over the years,
Yeah.
and it needs to happen. There needs to be more awareness of it. And I think when we come to age differences, obviously there's an age difference between you and I, but then when we're what you're doing and what you're trying to make a life out for yourself is going to impact you when you get to my age, for example, but then it's going to have an impact on your children when you have kids. And that's what I'm instilling with my boys.
Yeah.
There's a good network support base behind them, and they know to reach out to me for any support, any concerns that they may have. And I encourage that for any generation, your generation especially, because it's like when you talk about climate change, for example. What we're doing now is going to impact our life in the future. start with mental health. What I'm instilling is getting the people of your generation to then instill that practice moving forward, So
Well, I'm actually studying education so I can become a teacher. So I
awesome.
was like, how can I make an impact on this world? And I was like, okay, well, the most important people in this world are the next generation.
Yeah.
They're the most important people. They're the people that really matter for the future is the next generation. And I was like, well, how can I help them? And one way is become a teacher, because I know for a lot of people, uh, they remember their teachers, some teachers for their whole life. Like,
Mm.
oh, this teacher in grade 2 really supported me and listened to me. And I didn't necessarily have like any of my like one-on-one teachers like that, but even that shows something as well. Like as like an anti-role model almost.
Yeah.
Okay, well, none of my teachers were like this, so how can I be that person for someone?
Yeah.
Even if it's just one person. If it was one student, then that's a win.
Yeah, that's it. When you were at school, what was and especially coming from Youngborough, which is a very small town, what was the support base from the school regarding mental health? Was there anything? And this
Not
is
that
no
I can
reflection
think
on the
of.
school, but yeah, it should have been out of school for what, 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, yeah, I graduated what 2020. So yeah, there wasn't. I there was one time, I think it was grade 8. We'll say 2016.
Yeah.
There was a man, Glenn Garine. I don't know if that name rings a bell, but he came and spoke to all the boys at the school on parade one time and spoke to us about mental health and the struggles that um, boys going through puberty might feel and face, and that
Yeah.
was probably the only thing that I can think of that resembled men's mental health
Yeah, right.
in my whole
Yeah.
schooling. Uh, which now reflecting on that, it's not that great. There only being
No,
one thing.
it's not. And I kind of got that impression from my eldest when I spoke to him about it. Um, but in saying that, I think obviously I think there has been a shift in that.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely there's been a shift in that for the better. It's well, I know when I was at school, no, it was never heard of. There was nothing regarding mental health whatsoever, and I think there was a stigma behind it anyway. I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I first spoke to somebody, was probably 1995, 96, and that was just a moment in my life that I was going through, which was a pretty shit moment. But um, having somebody to talk to, it did help. It kind of helps in the way of your thinking to rethink about things and how to best approach things. But that was a different time in life and a different
Mm.
that was, I don't know, what was it, 30 years ago, give or take.
Yeah.
So it was a while ago. It was a long time ago. It was way before you were born. So, but you can see that there's a lot. I think there's a lot of improvement to go. But then it's finding those avenues, it's finding those resources, kind of being comfortable with who you are within your own skin and kind of embracing that in the community. Like for me, you'll get to an age when you don't care what people think. You do what you want to do within reason, of course. But
Yep.
for me, yeah, people see me walking down the street every single day, and if all they get out of that conversation is, oh, look at that dude, he looks good, or he looks like an idiot, whatever. I've had two negative experiences when I've been from the way that I look,
Yep.
and one of them was just a fleeting moment where nothing was going to change. The other one, I made an impact on him to rethink what he was thinking and reword what he said to me, um, and then kind of get understanding, educating him on what it is.
Mm.
It's nothing about being gay or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but
Yeah,
it's rewording, re-understanding his thinking. Now, it's not going to be like that for everybody,
of course
but
not. No.
I I just thought about something just then. Um, it was probably, and one that actually recently stand out to mind, which I just thought about then, which was only happened 2 weeks ago. I was coming back from the local shops down the road, and I saw three guys coming towards me, and I looked at them, and I had my pink Mobro hoodie on, and these are the kind of guys I wouldn't interact with.
Yeah.
They're just I wouldn't have an interaction with them at all. Not saying they're not bad. It's just saying it's not the people that I'll associate with. So in that instance, no, that's fine. We'll keep moving. And there was three of them. The older one was probably in his late 20s. The younger ones were probably early 20s. And the older one took one look at me and said, "Oh, Pink Mobro, what's that about?" And I said, "Well, it's supporting men's health in Movember, but it's also supporting women for breast cancer." "Oh, I thought that was just for prostate cancer." I said, "Well, that's what it started off with. But yes, there's more involved." Okay. And then I went through what I do, and I said, just giving support back to the Mo sisters that have helped me out over the years. I'm sure there's a few that have helped you out as well. And then,
Mm.
oh, yeah, yeah. And then one of the younger fellas gave me a buddy fucking handshake, whatever, and said, no, that's great, that's awesome, and stuff like that. So and that, it can change people's perspective, when they're looking at somebody, they're thinking, what's he about? When I look at those guys, I'm thinking, oh, yeah, they just look like a bunch of deadbeats.
Yeah.
That's just people's opinion. Everyone's got their own opinion. They always perceive things differently until they actually have an interaction with them. We've all been guilty of it. So, and
Or
then when
in
I
that one, you guys both perceived each other in a wrong
yeah, exactly.
way.
Yeah, exactly. That's right, exactly. And that's an education for me as well. But then for me, it's going, well, I'm not going to not communicate with them. I'm not going to walk on the other side of the street to avoid them. Let's walk past, and we had a positive conversation, and that was a positive education for myself as well, as
Mm.
opposed as for them as well. So it's you perceive people differently by just how they look, and I perceive those people differently, but then and they would have perceived that differently for me as well. People look at me and talk about me because if there's a group of them, one person will see me, and you'll see him talking. He'll go, trying to get somebody's attention. As soon as he's get that person's attention, that person will turn around. Yeah, exactly. I know, I know they talk about me, and I'll just say, "Hey, how you going?" And then have that
Confidence.
conversation. So yeah, that's it, and that's what it comes down to. But perceiving people differently, I've been guilty of it, and I was guilty of it when I had that conversation, thinking, yeah, these definitely are people that I wouldn't interact with. But then you don't know what's going on in other people's lives. So
Of course.
that it's an education for me as well. So and it was a good conversation. It was only a brief conversation, but it was good, and hopefully it made an impact on them. That's something that only recently happened, which I totally forgot about until just now. When I spoke to my hairdresser about it, and yeah, it was and she is a massive advocate for men's health, mental health, and she's very heavily tattooed, and pink hair. And when you look at her, you look at her and think, what's going on with this chick? But then,
Yeah.
you get to know her, and she's an amazing, very talented woman, very talented. So mate, I won't leave you too much longer. I think the conversation we've had today has been very, very productive, and I think it's been great. I appreciate you reaching out and having a chat. I think what we can do is definitely look at other avenues within the community that we can try and work around, and
Yep.
definitely catch up for uh, a more conversation over the weekend. Probably on Sunday, we might have a
Yep.
have a have breakfast after the run on Sunday and see how we go. But
Yeah.
if you want to instill something, or just in a few words about the conversation we've had today to anybody that's listening, what would you advise them?
Is them to just, I guess, go for it. Have that conversation.
Yeah,
Reach out to that person. Um, go just yeah, whatever they're thinking of doing, whatever they're thinking, like, oh, do I go for this run? Do I
yeah,
talk to this girl? Do I talk to this guy? I think just doing it, because like your conversation that you just told me, you don't know what's going to come out of it. I
that's it.
think I think that's, at least that's my biggest takeaway.
Yeah,
And that's what I would, yeah, highly recommend is just going for it. And we only live once. What's the worst that could happen?
yeah, that's it. And mate, like I said, I don't care about how people perceive me. I'm just a guy with pink hair and a pink moustache trying to
Yep.
make a difference in somebody's life. And if I can make, if I get one if I get one person thinking about the impact that I can give to that person, whether just by looking at me, then you know I've done something which is worthwhile. Hi, brother. I appreciate your chat, man. I really do. For what you're doing is good. It's amazing. You should be commended for what you're trying to do. Make a difference in your life by being open and honest about things and about what you've experienced in your life. I think we've only just touched on a few things, and that's fine. It's making people aware of what you can do in your life. There is support out there for people. Like I've said from the start, we are not trained professionals. We only are going by what we've experienced in our lives, and it's good to get a insight from different walks of life, different age groups, different nationalities, different sexes, straight, bi, gay, trans, whatever. Good friend of mine, her daughter's transitioning, so she's
Yeah. Wow.
transgender at the
Interesting.
moment. So I had a good chat with. I didn't chat with her. I chatted with her mum. Uh, I'm good friends with her mum, and to get a bit of insight about that as well. Different nationalities, stuff like that. So it's everyone's different. Everyone's got their life to live. How you live it is definitely up to you. But get out there, like you said, just do it. You know, just do it. You know,
I'm sure Jaden said this, but have a crack.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For those that don't know, Jamieson is you work at, believe
Yeah, yeah, I work
you're
with
the running
Jaden.
coach there, aren't you?
No, I take the classes.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I thought you
Yeah.
were the running coach there. But yeah, no. Jaden's good friend of mine. He runs Believe Fitness here in Cairns. It's a family-run business, so very popular. He does a lot for Movember as well. So yeah, are you doing anything with this, mate, this year? You're going to grow a mo, or what's the go?
I'll try. I'll do
Give
my
it,
best.
give it a crack. You'll be right. It won't be as good as mine, but so
I will not. I did it last year, and it was blonde, so you can't really see it. Maybe I need to dye it pink.
maybe. Well, there if you're going to be traditional with Movember, you grow it, you shave it at the end of the month, and that's it. I haven't shaved for 2 years.
That's impressive.
So, and I'm going against tradition again this year. I am not shaving my mo. I'm going to see how long I can have this for before my wife really gets the shits about it. But anyway,
Get me
that's
down here
all.
looking like a sensei.
Well, it looks good at the moment because it was just touched up last night. But
Mm.
when I had my massive beard, I was out here. It was really big. So yeah, I don't do things half-assed. So
All or nothing. I like it.
that's it, mate. All right, buddy. You enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy your weekend. We'll catch
Beautiful.
up soon. All right. Thanks again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ben. You have a great night, great
Yeah,
weekend, and yeah,
yeah.
we'll catch up.
Cheers, buddy.
Perfect. Bye.